You know that feeling, right? You sit down for a manicure, you pick out the perfect color, and you walk out with these absolutely flawless nails. It's one of those simple little luxuries. But what if I told you that behind that salon chair, there's a whole industry with a story that is way more complex than you'd ever imagine? So today, we're going to peel back the layers. We're going behind the polish, behind the price tag, to ask what really goes into your manicure. We're going to dive into the challenges that professionals are up against, the super high standards they're committed to, and some of the incredible innovations that are literally reshaping the future of nail care. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the hidden costs. And I'm not talking about what you pay at the register. I'm talking about the costs for the professionals themselves. From some serious health risks to major financial hurdles, the reality behind the chair can be, well, pretty tough. Check this out. The CDC actually highlighted a study on this, and it points to a really serious issue. The very people making our nails look beautiful are dealing with a ton of chemical exposure every single day. And this isn't just a small thing, it's a real public policy concern. We're talking about nail care workers who are mostly women of color, carry a much heavier health burden from this, chemical cocktail they work with all day. And you know what? These challenges, they often start way before a nail tech even gets their first job. It starts in the schools. And the gap this chart shows is, honestly, it's staggering. A workforce analysis found that the industry average for graduating from cosmetology school on time is shockingly low, somewhere between 24 and 31%. Now compare that to a place like the Louisville Beauty Academy, they're hitting a 90% rate. That is a huge difference. Let's look a little closer at these numbers because it gets even more wild. It's not just that on-time completion is so much higher at a model school like LBA. Look at licensure, job placement. They're hitting around 90% on everything. The industry averages, they're not even playing the same sport. But the metric that might just be the most damaging is student debt. So just try to imagine this for a second. The vast majority of students who don't graduate on time are still getting hit with a pretty significant amount of debt. We're talking $7,000 to $10,000. They're starting their careers deep in a financial hole, all for what the report itself calls minimal economic gain. It really feels like a system that's just broken for so many people trying to get their start. But here's the thing. In the face of all of these challenges, the true professionals, the dedicated ones, they're defined by their commitment to a much higher standard. And that commitment is really built on a professional code of ethics, kind of like a blueprint for what excellence in this industry should look like. So there's this group called the Associated Nail Professionals, or ANP, and they've put together this really powerful code of ethics that all of their members promise to follow. And this isn't just some dusty list of rules, It's a real promise to their clients, to their profession, and to a standard of excellence. At the very heart of it is this promise of high-quality care. This first principle really lays the foundation. It's all about putting the client first and recognizing that it's the professional's job to make sure the relationship is safe and effective. This one gets right to the ethical core of the profession. It's basically the nail industry's version of the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. A real pro knows their limits. They know when a service might actually be unsafe or unhealthy for a client. And they know when it's time to say, you know what, you should probably see a doctor about that. And finally, there's this powerful pledge to uphold the worth of every single person. What that means is the only reason to refuse service is for safety or health reasons, never because of discrimination. It's all about creating a space where everyone feels safe and respected. Okay, so those principles are the why, but what about the how? How does all that ethical stuff actually translate into the day-to-day grind of a nail technician? Well, it all starts with building a salon environment that's safer and way more sustainable. A huge piece of this puzzle is a word you've probably heard before, ergonomics. To put it simply, it's just the science of making the workplace fit the worker, not the other way around. And for a nail professional who spends hours and hours in the same position, this is absolutely crucial for preventing injuries that could literally end their career. And the difference is just crystal clear when you look at it. Correct posture, that's a neutral spine, relaxed shoulders. But the reality for so many nail techs is a back bent over 30 degrees and a neck bent more than 45 degrees all day, every day. That is just a recipe for some serious long-term pain. So what can they do about it? Well, this guide gives some really clear, simple steps. We're talking about things like not gripping tools so hard, taking breaks from repetitive motions like filing, and trying to keep your wrist straight. These might sound like small things, but they can make a massive difference in how long someone can stay in this career. All right, this all brings us to our final section, the future. Because tackling these big problems isn't just about talk. It's about real-world innovation that's happening right now in both education and in the business itself. All across the country, there are innovators who aren't just complaining about the problems. They're actually building solutions from the ground up. They are proving that you can run a really successful business that is also fair, professional, and sustainable for the people who work there. Let's circle back to the Louisville Beauty Academy. Remember that incredible 90% on-time graduation rate? Well, here's the real kicker. About 90% of their graduates land jobs in the field right away. And, thanks to a really cool tuition model, most of them do it completely debt-free. It's proof that a better way is totally possible. Another huge innovation is this shift away from tipping. Think about it. The traditional model means unpredictable income for staff and that awkward pressure on clients. But this no-tip model, it offers clear, upfront pricing, a standard wage that values everyone on staff, and just a way more relaxed experience for everybody involved. And you know who's noticing? The clients. As one customer, Emily Stiles, put it, the no-tip model just gets rid of that awkward, stressful moment. She can actually focus on enjoying the service instead of doing math in her head at the end. And here's another one. A client named Jake Grooming said the whole experience just felt more professional. Knowing the staff is paid a standard, fair wage for their amazing work, it actually made him want to become a loyal, repeat customer. How cool is that? So, what's the bottom line here? Let's break it down. There's a big shift towards greater professionalism happening, and it's being built on a solid foundation of ethics, health, and safety. New, innovative models are making careers in this industry way more sustainable. And this is the important part for us. As clients, when we're informed, we can actually help support all this positive change. Which really just leaves us with one final thought. The next time you sit down in that salon chair and you're picking out your favorite color, what are you going to be looking for? Not just in the service, but in the salon itself. Thanks for tuning in.